Welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrinala. I come to you from the Pacific Northwest, where I live with my partner, our 2 kitties, and 2 adopted Mustangs. Information about the Wildhorse adoption program will be in the episode description box. This podcast covers knitting projects, my horsemanship journey, and my other passions like vegetable gardening and bicycling. If you're new here, I hope you find the content interesting. If you're a returning viewer, it's always great to have old friends. The format of this channel typically includes musings on an early walk to the barn to feed the horses, then knitting content, some catch up on the horsemanship journey, and finally more musings or maybe a little bicycling footage if I was lucky enough to get out. Enjoy, and I hope to see you soon. Hey friends, good morning. Welcome to my podcast. Today is Friday, November 7th. It is, maybe 5:45 in the morning or something like that. And you'll recognize the laundry room is where I put my barn clothes on and get ready for the walk to the barn. And the last couple times I did the knitting portion of the podcast first before the walk out to the barn. So what has changed? There has been a couple of big changes. One is the time change. And normally that would mean if I had maintained my schedule that I was keeping, that means I would drop a horse treat on the floor. That means I would just get to feed an hour early because it's daylight. The sun comes up. Sunrise is an hour early is what I'm trying to say. You'll notice that I just put on my headlamp. So what happened, not only the time change, is that I really just kind of had it with Bragi kind of bullying his way around, not accepting responsibility for his own food and being in a stall like a big boy. So last Friday, he was just being kind of a jerk. And so I locked him up for feeding time, went to feed my neighbor's horses because they're out of town, which is another part of the schedule change. And thinking that I would let him out after I came back. And I decided not to. Sorry it's so dark. I don't have my headlamp on yet. I can see fine at this point. So we are going to the pump house to turn on the water. There's the house. And I decided to not let him out. I had accidentally left him in earlier that week, maybe the week prior, I can't quite remember. And he handled it fine. I mean, he didn't like it. So I thought, okay, that's the new schedule. So the new schedule is Bragi gets locked up in the evening and all night. And to be fair, I have been going out early in the morning before daylight to feed, let him out. I don't know whether you can see better now that I have my headlamp on. I can see better. And Odin gets locked up until about lunchtime. Then they have about 4 or 5 hours together. And quite honestly, I think Bragi has been handling it better than Odin has. Odin gets to stay out all night, just looking up the creek, mostly looking for critters, because they tend to surprise me. It's mostly deer and sometimes bunnies. They tend to surprise me when I see their eyeballs when it's dark out like this. Anyway, the creek is running. We've had a ton of rain. It just, right at the end of October, I mean, fall came with a vengeance. So it is muddy, the creek's flowing, and just a lot of things have changed. Hi, Bee. Good morning. So I can see his eyeballs. We had a heck of a rainstorm last night. So he's still in his pen like a good boy. Not sure where Odin is. He's probably under the tree over there. So that's the big schedule change. And like I said, feeding my friend's horses. They are out of town for a month, and her house sitter isn't available until the 15th of November. So I'm feeding the horses and the cats. And then her neighbor, right next door neighbor, is feeding the cats in the morning. So the horses are on a 24-hour cycle, so I just give them enough hay. And with that, I'm going to get to feed my boys. Good morning, friends. Welcome to the knitting portion of my podcast. Back up from the barn, the horses did like they were supposed to, come to their stalls. I don't let Bragi out before he comes in for breakfast, and he was a little reluctant to come in for breakfast this morning. But that's understandable given the crazy rain night. I'm reaching for my tea. I hope you have some tea or something nice to drink whenever you're watching this, and maybe a project to work on while I talk about knitting and horsemanship and all the other things I talk about. It rained so hard last night after we'd gone to bed that I rolled over at one point and saw that Randy had like his pillow clamped around his head. It didn't bother me quite that much. But, you know, if it was like that for us, for the horses, I can only imagine that it was really stressful, especially for Bragi, because he just does not deal with rain well in the first place. But he came in, he ate some breakfast, I let him out, and, you know, I did the transfer that I talked about where I let him out and Odin in, and he did come out right away. I think he's understanding that he has choices. He can come out and walk around, roll in the round pen, and then maybe go back and enjoy some breakfast and realize he's not in that pen all day if he doesn't want to. So, and then, like I said, he and Odin do have some time together. So let's talk about the knitting now, and then I'll talk about more horsemanship plans later. So first of all, what am I wearing? This is the Carbeth cardigan. It is a design by Kate Davies. I just about knocked my computer off the stand as I was getting up to show you. So this is in a super bulky, I recall, I didn't take very good notes on my Ravelry project page. It fits really well. I'm happy with it. I don't remember the needle size, but I've linked the pattern if you are interested. It's a paid for pattern. I used 2 strands of DK weight. I do not remember what the yarn is. It's a Tweety yarn. I keep thinking maybe Brooklyn Tweed. I grabbed the yarn that was right next to the pattern. Oh, I was meant to show you buttons too. So I got these metal buttons. So these are fun. So it was a fun knit. I knit it in June of 2018. And it is definitely sweater season. So I'm going to continue drinking tea because my voice is still a little froggy this morning. So what else is going on? I have made some progress on a lot of projects, and I'm thinking about, of course, I'm thinking about future projects. Part of my stash down plans includes gift knitting, and I have made a little bit of progress. I'm not going to show that, of course, but just let it be known that I am working on my stash. I have done some blanket knitting this week. So, I've had some meetings and whatnot that I was able to knit in, and I have made some progress on my 100 Acre Wood blanket. This is a pattern by Kay Jones. So I am getting very close to being done with the second stripe. So here, I'm not sure where I left off last time. I feel like this week I have done probably from this square. I know I did this square this week. And this square, this is from the most recent pair of socks I finished, the Spooky Kooky socks, and also the sand island socks, maybe? I can't remember. It was another Kay Jones pattern. And this was a scrap that I ended up using for the second sock when I ran out of the turquoise or the teal. And this is also part of that chicken colorway. I think it's the Aracuna. If I'm not pronouncing that right, please someone correct me. And then you can see I'm almost done with this bright pink, which was also part of that chicken colorway. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more squares till I'm finished with the second strip. So I expect to have that done maybe next week, and then I can start on the third. So it's right now my plan is 500 squares, so that'll be 25 stripes. It could take me a while, but if I'm getting this much done in a week, maybe it's not going to take as long as I think. I have a big bag of scrap yarn that I am drying. So this bag is made by my mom. This is the horse fabric. So this is the big bag. That's kind of the reservoir of scrap yarn that I'm using. And then once I also made by my mom. And then when I am done with those scraps, they go in a Ziploc bag in this bag, which is, I think my late mother-in-law gave this bag to me many years ago. It's going into this Ziploc to be used potentially for a lot of scrappy socks. I will be talking about my sock knitting plans later, so I really have no need to buy more sock yarn, but do I? Of course I do. I can't help myself. So, okay. In this bag, another bag made by my mom, garlic fabric, simple drawstring bag, I have the So Faded, and I'm making some good progress on this. And it's important I make good progress on this because I'd like to finish it this month. I know Nitty Natty has I think a no whips November, and I think it's kind of finishing up stuff. I'm not doing that, but I think I need the needles for another project. So this is a 3-color fade. This is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. And I have started the 3rd color, which might be hard to see. So it's right, oops, come on yarn. I don't know if I can see it and show you at the same, yeah, there we go. So this is the 3rd fade, and I'll show you the 2 colors that I am using. Hand-dyed yarn, one is an Emma's yarn, and one that's this color here, this peach colored, and this is a hand-dyed yarn from a dyer in Idaho whose name I am not remembering. So these are the 2 I'm fading together. This is the final fade. And then I'll just do the body, the remainder of the body of the sweater in this bright pink. And then I'll do the sleeves. So I have 2 sets of, I thought I had 3 sets of US size 4. I thought I had a lot of sets of US size 4 needles. However, I cannot find them. So, and I need them for a December mystery knit along project that I will talk about in a minute. So I'd like to finish that. I may end up using a size 3 for the mystery knit along, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So let me finish with the whips, and then I'll get into that. So this is a project that's in my float tote. My Ghost Horses sweater was occupying this. I did add to the collar. I did a crochet that makes it a lot more snug, and that's the way this is magnetic. I never knew that. My counter thingy. That's so weird. So now that that project is out of the bag, I've transferred my Talvinen, also a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, same designer who did the Ghost Horses, and also another one I knit, Nay. This is a bird. I am wondering, I'm not sure whether I will end up adding to this collar as well, but it does look, well, I don't know, it's fingering weight yarn. I'll show you the pattern. I am maybe more than a third way through the chart. Here's what it looks like. So I am using a hand-dyed yarn, Emma's yarn, for the main color in the colorway Nightshade. And then, so it's this purple, dark purple. It's probably hard for you to see because it's not very light in here. And then this one, the name that I can never remember, but let's see if I have the tag. I do have the tag. So Nightshade, Love Drunk. And then I am, for the contrast color, I am using this beautiful colorway by Woolen Women, and it is in the colorway Kentucky Derby. So even though this is a bird themed sweater, I still managed to get a horse theme in it. Okay, those are the whips, and I am also using a US size 4 for this one, but I think this one won't be finished in time. This one is going to take longer just because of the color work. The So Faded is actually going really fast right now. So, but I do have a set of size 3 that I might be able to use for this Advent project that I keep talking about. So, let's talk about the Advent project. The Advent project is, is hosted by the Bakery Bears. So Kay Jones is, she's a knitwear designer and one of the Bakery Bears. They're based out of Great Britain. I talk about them all the time. So my original intention was to knit a shawl with some leftover yarn. Sorry, I have a plastic bag. And do the Stephen West mkal. I never started it, and I'm glad I didn't, because I think I am going to use the yarn for this. It's a 5-color. So I've got this light blue, which is a leftover yarn from my Bright Axis tee. This yarn that has been repurposed from something. I think I tried to knit a shawl. This has the stellina in it. This is a birthday skein from my mom. And then I have this undyed, and then this gray. The pattern, she says that you shouldn't really use variegated, but if it's not too variegated, it won't be too bad. So I don't know whether I can hold these 5 skeins together. The shawl that she has designed, the shawl pattern that she has designed is, she's calling for DK weight. Now, I could hold the yarn double. I don't know that I'm a fan of a DK weight shawl. So, and the needle size is a size, US size 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter. I am tempted to just knit this in the fingering weight, do the math. And I mean, it's a shawl, so it kind of doesn't matter. And use a US size 3. So I do need to knit a gauge swatch, but I want to finish up some of these things. I don't know, maybe I'll work on it this weekend. So I need to print. She did give a hint of like what colors we needed, and she did reveal that it is a shawl. So this yarn, I wanted to show this highlight. My mom gave this to me for my birthday. It is a merino nylon gold stellina, and it is called Sheila's Glitter Sock. This is from a yarn store in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. It has other crafty stuff in it. It doesn't look like there's a colorway, but it's a cool, it's cool yarn. This is in a bag made by my partner, Randy. He has an industrial sewing machine, and he had these like faux leather scraps from his work, and it's getting a little worn. It's been loved. The handles are probably the most precious part of this. This is a belt that his mom gave him when he was in high school. So I love the way he turned it into handles for this bag. It's also lined with wool. So I love this bag. I'm not really sure, and may need him to do some patchwork on this one corner that's really kind of falling apart. So I brought another project that's in hibernation. It's a pair of socks, the Lemontop Socks, also a pattern by Kay Jones that I just haven't been working on. So I want to talk about socks. My stash I've reduced it a lot. In fact, I think I'm going to show you my yarn stash here. So let's pause for a moment, shall we? Okay. This is the yarn, my yarn stash for socks. So I have some Freckled Whimsy, I have some Knit Pick Stroll, I have, this is a West Yorkshire Spinners, I have some Nativity yarn, so lots of, here is some, I have an advent for them for this year, Legacy Fiber Arts. I have no idea where this one came from. This is a Nativity colorway, and so on. So and then also I have this Christmas set from West Yorkshire Spinners. Sorry about the crinkling bag. West Yorkshire Spinners I bought a couple years ago when we visited a yarn store somewhere along Lake Michigan. And then I bought this contrast color. So this is a West Yorkshire Spinner. So planning on doing that. And that's my sock stash. So, plus you saw that giant bag of scraps that I'm doing for my blanket that's eventually going to turn into scrap yarn. I mean sock yarn. Scrappy socks. That's what I'm trying to say. This is my box of bags. Here, and a vacuum cleaner. Woohoo! So, back into the room, and while I'm talking about stash and stash down plans, I may have to turn on a light here. This is where my non-fingering weight lives. So I have this here. I have some sweater quantity. This was intended to be the contrast color for ghost horses, but it was too dark. So I basically have half of a sweater quantity for that. This is going to be a tank top. This is a lace weight. And then I just, out here is some alpaca lace weight. And then I have some repurposed yarn lace weight with some mohair. And then this bag has a lot of rowan that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with. I did buy this pattern here. I'm not sure that's what I'm going to use it for. So, and I have some cotton yarn down here, and then this is fingering weight. So this is the Brooklyn tweed that I just used as the contrast color in my ghost horses, and then this is like gloss and some other stuff. Oh, I have more Brooklyn tweed. This is going to be a sweater, another sweater by Andrea Mowry, and I think it's called the Weekender Light. So I have a sweaters quantity for that. And then I have some more Brooklyn tweed in here that's kind of this gold. That's probably hard to see. Let me bring it into the light. So this gold color, and there's a blue color, and there is a shawl that uses these colors. So I think it's called the rugby shawl. So I'm planning on using these two colors together. So it's a blue, and the gold is kind of reading green on the camera. Maybe if I bring it over here. But that's my plan, is to make a shawl out of that. So that's my stash. That was a long-winded way. Here's my office. That was a long-winded way of talking about buying more sock yarn. So turning you around. And the reason why I'm getting to this point is because I got my Woolen Women box. So I have an Advent Legacy Fiber Arts. I got the one open every once a week. So it's a micro skein, I think is what they call them. I think they're basically 60 gram skeins. So because I'm a bit compulsive, I did buy a 3-month Woolen Women subscription because it's holiday season. So I just got the October box, which was supposed to be for Halloween. And this box is called Night at the Theater. So here's the bag. So it is wicked, is the theme, really. It is fantastic. I love it. You get a sock pattern that you can download, which they're called Hello Pumpkin socks. So I need to look up that, see if it's a pattern I want to use, or if I want to use another pattern. So you get a wool wash bar. It smells really good. It's called Glinda. A candle that I haven't burned, but oh, it smells like cookies. And I have eliminated sugar from my diet because it was giving me terrible indigestion. Do I miss cookies? Of course I do. Do I miss the indigestion? No. And it was really a bummer that I found out that sugar gives me indigestion. It's kind of weird in a way. Here's the yarn. So isn't that pretty? So I saw this on somebody's channel. It could have been Nitty Natty. It could have been the Crazy Sock Lady. I'm not sure. But this is the yarn. And could I help myself? Of course not. And then it comes with 2 mini skeins if that is the size of box you order. I'm guessing it was a Crazy Sock Lady that I saw this on. So I may save this for next Halloween, since Halloween is come and gone, and starting to think about holiday stuff. It also comes with these little progress keepers. Aren't those cute? I won't take them out of the bag, but hopefully you can see them. And then it comes with this little friendship thing. It's 2 pieces, and I think you're supposed to give one to a friend. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give it to my sister. I'm not sure. So I'm usually not, I'm not particularly sentimental, so I don't hang on to things like that. I may just donate it. So that was my justification, which wasn't really a justification, except that you can see my sock stash, my yarn sock stash bin is less than half full. So I've done a good job. And part of it is I cleaned out all of the scraps and am using them on my blanket. So that is that. I think that is all the knitting content that I have for today. That was quite enough, probably. Oh, I see my camera's crooked. Sorry about that. We'll get you straightened out again. I don't know if it's still crooked. Looks like it. There we go. So just more horse stuff. Odin still has a sore foot, so I haven't been doing much with him, except working with him to accept getting his foot poulticed and wrapped, and he's been frankly a jerk about it. So yeah, I've been trying to help him be cooperative. My trainer's coming today in a few hours, and we will work with Bragi. She worked with him last week, and she just really wanted to do kind of a come along with me exercise, and he just was having a hard time getting it. So she spent most of her time with him doing that. And, you know, and a come along exercise is, you know, like you're walking with your friend, and when you're walking with your friend, you're walking basically shoulder to shoulder. Like one's not lagging behind or one's not zooming ahead. So she was trying to teach him, you know, walk with me here, like have your nose like right here so that I can talk to you. And he kept trying to pull back. And so then she'd like take a stick and kind of like zhush him forward. I mean, not whack him with it or anything, but just kind of zhush him forward. And he would, then he would do it. And then she would ask again, okay, come along with me. And he'd like, kind of brace, and she'd like zhush him along. So I mean, over and over and over again. And that was before I started locking him up at night and keeping him and Odin more separate. So I am curious whether that has made a difference in his cooperation, because he's really had to take responsibility for his emotions while he is in his own pen at night. I'll let you know. Other things happening this week, like I said, I've been feeding the neighbors' horses, and we had the time change. So, you know, I'm just trying to get over there before dark. So I'm trying to get over there around 4, which means, you know, I'm leaving work at 4 p.m. My day usually ends at 4:30. Go feed, come back and feed my horses, and then work for a while longer later into the evening. So it's just been a little bit, it's just been a little, with the days being so short, it's just been a little bit cramped already. The first week is always hard to get used to, and then it just gets a lot easier. The fall colors have been so beautiful, and I am just going to show you out my window right there. So there is a maple tree right there, and it's just golden. So here in the Pacific Northwest, we have a lot of maples. We don't get a lot of red, except the blueberries can be quite red up in the mountains, the wild blueberries, and then it's quite beautiful. But there has just been a lot of gold, which I think is really nice. I think that was all I wanted to talk about. So I'm just checking my notes here. Yeah, that is it. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the content that I share with you. I hope you have some inspiration for more knitting projects. I hope that you are also working on your stash or building your stash if that's what you would like to do. I hope that you learn something about horsemanship, or maybe you can share some things with me. So enjoy, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Take care.